Good evening. I'm Chase Henning. Today's top story is about none other than CN Rail. They recently seen the resignation of their entire Indigenous Advisory Council, which they only hired in 2021 with 12 prominent Indigenous leaders. Just 2 years later, the council tendered their resignation, stating that CN was refusing to move beyond performative gestures and commit itself to transformative change. According to the advisory, it had become clear that CN had no intention of acknowledging and accepting their role in the historic and ongoing impact on Indigenous peoples, and failed to follow the Council's recommendations for reconciliation. The topic has since sparked a debate. Whose actions as a society should we endorse? Those of Canadian National Rail Company or Indigenous Advisory Council? To discuss this debate, we've invited four guest speakers to join us and share their thoughts.
Hi. As one of CN's shareholders, I firmly believe CN is doing the right thing. CN's corporate executives are agents of us, their shareholders, and an executive that reduces profits by undertaking actions on behalf of society is spending my money, helping others at my expense. I'm also appalled by the fact that the Indigenous Advisory Council wants to tell CN what to do with my money. Taxation without representation, I call it. CN shouldn't be making decisions without even consulting its shareholders. Also, who is CN or even the council to make decisions about how to fix social problems? And why would CN even want to invest in these reconciliation projects, when doing so would likely lead to reduced profit and ultimately their demise? Sounds downright undemocratic, unwise, and ineffective to me. Hi. Good on the Indigenous Advisory Council for taking a stand. If CN had only listened to them, the company could have upheld a fair, just, and efficient market. Consider this. Firstly, CN's board, on behalf of their shareholders, could have had the opportunity to practice their democratic rights and vote for reconciliation projects. Secondly, the 12 Indigenous leaders were specifically hired for their specialized knowledge regarding CN's impact on their lands. No one is more qualified than them to make decisions about reconciliation. Finally, practicing social responsibility could have actually improved the wealth of the company. CN could have had a positive impact while building camaraderie around their company. Plus, ESG is becoming a bigger thing nowadays. We even have university-level classes for it. Hi, I make policy so companies like CN don't need to bother themselves with issues outside of making profits. As long as they follow my rule, they should be all good. I've thought of everything. Regulations for safety and environmental standards. Tax externalities to help prevent and repair any indirect negative impacts the company has on their surroundings. And legal sanctions so that companies can be held accountable for negligence and compensate people they hurt. By doing nothing at all, CN is doing everything right.
Policy solutions are limited and costly. Therefore, it is vital that businesses such as CN uphold their social responsibilities. Even with our government policies, market failures and inefficiencies can still happen when firms focus solely on profit maximization. Just think of the negative externalities Indigenous communities are still facing. An Indigenous lawyer discussed how CN continues to enjoy the use of the land and so on, just as Indigenous peoples continue to experience the impact of that loss. It is simply too difficult, slow, and expensive to make regulations for every scenario, taxes for every unwelcome action, and to establish guilt for every injury. Although it should be noted that there's a larger systemic action that is required to properly address some of these issues that could make for a more responsive and effective government action. That's why I suggest an accountability claim for CN and the government. Today, we have heard from four individuals with four different takes on the situation. It's fair to conclude that CN was on the tracks, but ended up derailing somewhere along the line. However, we will see what action CN takes as it tries to work through issues that the legal policies were too slow and inadequate to help Indigenous communities get the rights they deserve. CN still has the opportunity to reconcile their actions and make a positive impact. They will not only affect those communities, but also our market's efficiency. Thank you for listening, and we will be right back after a short break to discuss how a local town elected a cow for its mayor. They say they are moving forward.